This is the TOR Audio balanced amp. For some reason, the one I have over there, the non-balanced amp, is called the Roger. And I've had it on my desk. Not here in the workspace, not where I would test headphones, but where I sit for fun. Well, work there too, but sit there, TOR Audio Roger. Not the dark voice with tubes, not the X2O hybrid, not any of the little dots. That was sent to me for free. The guy was like, hey, I make these in the Ukraine. Do you want to try it? I'm like, sure. It showed up in bubble wrap in a shitty old box. And I love that tube amp. And I never touched the tubes. I would never change the tubes in it. And fast forward a year plus, he says, hey, I have a balanced one. You want it? And I couldn't have said yes fast enough. Yeah, I want to try your balanced one. So it came at a very interesting time because, as you know, yesterday I released the review of the Inspire Dragon IHA1, which is like an $17 to $2,000 tube amp. I happen to have the Audio Valve Solaris sitting here cooking next to me, which is a German-made, with the DAC in it, $6,000 tube amp. So really, this is the bargain of the century at $960, $990 on PayPal. Pre-order. I have it before you can actually buy it, because he wants this review to come out. And I want this review to come out because he's going to sell a lot of them. The design is a little bit unique, and I'm okay with that because we talked about it in that video a little bit. Like, hey, this is a really well put together, tube amp. It's got tubes on top, transformers in the back, controls in the front, plug in the back. That's not quite how TOR does things. See, if I pick this up to show you the rear, you can see that there's a single figure 8 style power adapter. If you look at the front, there's nothing but wood, and everything's on top. We've got the headphone output here. This turns off a lot of people putting it here, but that's where it is. We've also got the signal inputs in the top. So it only takes XLR. This only takes RCA. This only takes XLR. This doesn't even have an option to do anything, no switching. It's a very basic amp that you're paying $1,000 for. Same power switch as that. Here's your volume pot. Smooth. 2 tubes that aren't even that large. And you're like, what are these, a 6H8C? Is that the size? I suppose. And you plug in or unplug your 4-pin over your hot tube. So you got to be a little bit cautious, especially like you have the Hart audio cables here that have that adapter. So there's a big old metal connector you don't want swinging into things. And I was ready to give this to listen, but I like, all right, I could finally listen to things that are balanced, because a lot of my stuff is gone 2-wire balance, all these fancy Hart connectors or Ursine. I got tons of stuff from Periapt. So okay, I whipped these out. I whipped these out because they were just sitting on my desk. Now, if you know anything about planars, you know that you really can't run them on most tube amps. The Dark Voice, it is not back here. Go back. It is not recommended you run planars on something like a Dark Voice or a Little Dot because of the way they're designed. The impedance load is too low and it doesn't do anything right. This doesn't have that issue. And holy fuck. I literally took a picture. I don't know if I tweeted about it or if I just posted it to the patronage chat, but I had the M500, the SMSL M500 DAC, hooked into this. First time I was testing it, and this hooked into these, and I did the math. This is 1,000, this is 600, that was 400. There was no better $2,000 sounding thing I could lay my brain on. Decent balanced DAC. So right now I'm using a DX7 Pro, which is a $600 DAC, and you don't need to go up this high, but it's here, so I'm going to use it. This amp, and then these headphones, which are not known for being wide or overly bassy. These are love or hate headphones. I know a lot of people who get a set and they're like, ooh, this is not what I expected. I double dog dare you to put them on through this tube and not tell me they're fucking amazing. Like, fucking amazing. In fact, I'm going to put them on. I'm going to tell myself that. Hold on. Here's the thing. I sit here. This is day 2. Yesterday was that. And a couple weeks ago I reviewed that. And everyone knows a Dark Voice. And I know how to do hybrids. And I don't know what makes a tube amp good. And I could talk all day about, well, you got to swap the right tubes and the right tube combination combined with the architecture that they went with. I could talk about that shit all day. And I could talk about, well, you're going to figure out the overall gain because the transformers put out this much power. But this does something more insane than the other tube amps, including the Solaris. Solaris is probably the best tube amp I've ever heard. I'm going to be straight up with you. If you strip away its ability to run electrostatics, you take out the DAC, you get rid of the moving magnet thing. If you made this just strictly a tube amp, you'd probably get the price down to like $3,000, $2,500 maybe. And I don't know if I would choose it for some of, especially planar, over the TOR. I'm more passionate about this review than I was about that one. That one showed up. It did its job. It sounded very good. I listened between this and that, between the audio valve and that, and I'm like, oh, they sound really similar. That's the highest praise I can give it.
Oh, yes.
But then, cheese is moaning into the thing. But then, I plug this in, and I plug in certain headphones. Not every headphone. I'm not saying this is the greatest thing ever for every headphone, but certain headphones. This is the only solution I'd choose. Starting with planars. What was the planar tube amp? I was talking about the shit one. Remember I talked about that shit one? I was like, oh, this is a perfect one for that. All right, drop that. Drop it like it's hot. And hand your money to a man in the Ukraine so he can carve down a tree and build you this tube amp. Now, we're going to talk a little bit about a problem that happened when it arrived, a.k.a. the fact that it fell apart in the box. But that's good, though, because I get to show you why it's good. All right? It's not supposed to... It doesn't have this cool feature where, like, it opens these doors like Knight Rider. Kit's open. But we're going to use that to our advantage. Oh. I invite anyone in the Philadelphia area to please come to my apartment, knock on my door, and say, hey, can I hear the TOR balanced? And I'll be like, sure. Can I put pants on? Because I'm usually naked. But, I don't know how it does it. Especially with these little tiny tubes that anyone who's if you're a true tube enthusiast, that is still your amplifier. Because you're going to want to swap the power tube and the preamp tubes. You're going to have 9 different piles of tubes. And they're going to turn... I'm not that guy. I don't even want to look at op amps. I just want you to deliver me a tube amp that I don't want to fucking touch, and this is it. This is it. The Roger is it. I don't know what he does. Well, actually, let me show you what he does. Let me shut this off. Let me disconnect the power. And hopefully I don't get electrocuted, because we're going to look... I'll shut that off, too. We're going to look inside this. Oh, one more thing before I rip it apart. It comes with this adapter. And this adapter shouldn't exist. I'm telling you this because if you look for one and you find it, you blow up your shit. This is a 4-pole balanced to a 1/4 inch single-ended. Which means when you plug it into your amp, it bridges the 2 ground adapters so that you could use regular old... I've got my Neumanns. So I could use my Neumanns like that. And that should not be allowed. That should be illegal. But it comes with the amp, so I'm assuming it's fine. I'm assuming it's fine. But if I were to take this out of here and plug this into my 789 would say, no. And then proceed to destroy itself. So, just be careful when you order one of these. This comes with it. Only use it on it. By the way, it says... Pro L, noiseless microphone cable, low capacity, low impedance. I will leave that plugged in because I'm going to hook this up in a second. Okay, let me disconnect this. It's a very simple looking amplifier. The bottom has got nothing but feet. Actually, it doesn't even have feet. The feet are on the sides. But here's what the miracle of Ukrainian transport has offered us. When I took it out of the box, it was wrapped the exact same way. Tubes intact, just like this, wrapped in bubble wrap and put into a box that looked like, well, it was thrown off an airplane. And because of that, the sides disconnected. The sides actually are glued in place. It's wood. You can see the man has... He makes these. Here's the thing about a tube amp like this. Tube amp like that, yes, they're made in a beautiful manufacturing facility. It's very clean. They paint it. Someone puts on the labels. It's great. Something like this. Germany. Jesus Christ. Could you imagine the harum that that's made in? It must make Porsche blush. This is a man in the Ukraine, and I am sure his facilities are not the top-notch facilities where you do medical equipment. But I don't care about that. Do you remember that speech from The Hateful Eight about dispassionate fucking thing? This man has passion. Because here's what we got. Look at the hand soldering of all the bits in there. Also, please note, they make, I think, their own tordial transformers, and there's 4 of them in this. So whereas that has 3 large transformers, that has 1 large transformer, that has 1 large tordial transformer on the side, this fucking tube amp, and I'm so glad these fell off because I'd never know, have 4 hand-wound tube, 4 hand-wound tordial TOR. That's why it's TOR audio, because I wonder how many are in that one. He's, according to the webpage, 80% of the time spent making this tube amp is wrapping those manually. Look at them. And then look at the workmanship in there. Now I'm saying workmanship. This is not like, oh my God, it's like a Japanese neurosurgeon bit. No. No, it's not. That doesn't matter though. Because every one of those resistors, if I said, hey, go make this, you're not going to want to. The parts alone, to hand wind your own tordial transformers, because there's a label in here, but it says TOR. Oh God, it's falling. They're just screwed in. This is nice and warm, by the way. That's why it looks like a little tank. That's why it looks like a goddamn tank that's going to drive around with a remote control. There is some handcrafted efforts in this that make the magic happen. Literally the fucking magic. The shortest possible wired runs. There's capacitors lining the entire side over here. There's 4 capacitors, I believe. Hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4 big capacitors. We've got the switch for the power. Everything is the shortest possible runs. These connectors have shielded cables around it to protect the signal path. So I'm going to end up reattaching these, obviously. I mean, the arrows go up. There was little sticks. You see, this is wood glued in place and then stuck on the side, and that's how he closes it up. And that's fine. I'm so glad it still worked. I would be so pissed if it didn't work. So let's just put this back and pretend it never happened, because I'm going to tell him that this happened and make sure that when he ships these things, he may want to either make sure they're glued properly or punch that motherfucker in the face, because I know this shit happened all the way in the Ukraine. Although I think FedEx delivered it. FedEx is known to do some shady shit. But yeah, once it's back together, as long as you get a together one, it's a rather handsome amp. I'm not sure if I'm digging the light wood on the side, whereas that one is all dark. This is dark front, back, and sides are lighter. But this is the most basic amplifier. This is as basic an amplifier as human mankind can make. And by the way, nothing's labeled here. Just assume that left is the left side and that right is the right side. Plug in. Does it even come with... It did come with the cable. I just threw it in a pile. I use these short figure eights back here. And from looking inside of it, I understand why there isn't a front access to plug things in. Every single thing is designed for the shortest possible length. They talk about direct wiring, and I was like, what does that even mean? Until I could look inside of it and say, oh, that's what you mean. I'm gonna plug in these now. We're gonna turn this on. There's no power indicator, which kind of bothers me, because the tubes aren't exactly like glowing brightly. You can just make out, if I cover, you could see that the tops have these two little orange dots. That's it. You could do this to see if it's on. After like 5 minutes, there is a heat generation happening. But other than that, you can't tell. You just have to look at the switch position, or you got to look in the dark and see if you have 4 little glowing dots. Let's put this back on. As far as power goes, because that is a beast at 1.7 watts. That is a super beast at 6 watts. 6 watts tubed. 1.7, still a beast. This, the only power reading I can get off the website, claims 450 milliwatts. I don't know where that is, at what ohm load, because it claims it'll handle anywhere from 25 to 600 ohm headphones. But it certainly feels a lot more than that. We only use triodes because it's the lowest internal resistance. The most critical part of the tube is the transformers. We decided such exotic things as TOR transformers. The most complicated part would take approximately 80% of the time, requiring manufacturing of the device. Operates at class A. Blah, 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 blah. This is the website. That's it. That's the total. That's it. The Roger, the one I have over there, same exact power output it claims. TOR audio transformers. So there's more in that too. No wonder I like these things so fucking much. Whatever it is, that other style transformer does not sound as good as these Tordials. If I'm comparing, all right. All tube amps sound the same. Zeos, all tube amps are just there to sound different from solid state. And if they can sound different from solid state, they've succeeded. You've said that in the past, Zeos. Yes, I have said that in the past. And it's true. If I listen to a tube amp like the Watt 22 that Woo Audio makes, that big one, the problem with that tube amp was it was so clean, it didn't sound like a tube. Why bother? The owner of this had a Watt 22, heard it, didn't like it, got this one, changed the tubes around a bit, went, oh my God, there it is, it's my baby, I need the power, I need it, go. I, personally, sitting here with these two on the desk, even with the sides falling off, this is my baby. Because without changing the tubes, without touching anything, and I'm gonna shoot myself for saying this, because I fucking hate it, it sounds more musical. Oh God, I think I just scratch my arm. It's like putting on the world's most expensive DSP correction. Like, well, let's see, we have flat, we have slight tube, and then we have TOR audio balanced. Oh. This tube amp ruined that tube amp for me. In fact, this tube amp showed up right before I reviewed that. So when I was reviewing that, in the back of my mind, I want you all to know that while you're watching the Solaris review, I was just going, fuck the TOR audio, fuck the TOR. Fuck the TOR exists. Fuck, it's only $1,000. I mean, if you put $1,000 in there, but it wouldn't be as powerful, and then it wouldn't do electrostats either. So, I mean, I have to make it so this is so good. I think my HD600 still sound better on the Solaris. I think the planars I have sound the best on this. And I think basically the general, picking between the two, I'd probably still take this over that in a lot of my headphones. That being said, that is also tuned specifically for the owner and what he wants out of it. What I want out of a tube is I want it to be handed to me and make me go, fuck, is this what's possible? And this does that. To a T. It falls apart. It's not complicated to build. At least it won't be complicated to repair. It's just okay, I'm just going to shove this here, try not to electrocute myself, and then put wood glue down. Or maybe I'll use blue tack and just plunk it in place. How does it do it? And he's using vintage tubes. I could tell. There's literally old glue down here. So he's got a stockpile. On that, if you wanted the vintage tubes, that was an extra $100 upgrade. Otherwise, you got new tubes. These, he picks the tubes. He picks exactly the tubes that sound the best with his tordial transformers in this design with the shortest possible. Look how small. My hand covers the entirety of the wiring of this. That alone makes it a worthwhile fucking adventure. This uses a giant PCB, and everything's laid out nice and neat and straight in German. The inside of that, I could open it up, and I'm sure it's got beautifully hand-tied wires. And this has no wires. You saw it. It's just resistor leads attached to other leads, attached to maybe a wire coming out of a tordial. This is madness, and it sounds like it, and I cannot recommend it enough. And if it comes broken, we can call it the fucking Zeos edition and be like, well, yeah, but I get to look inside of it. It's amazing. That's amazing too, but that's double the fucking price. And that's double the price of that, so that's just so much more. Plus, I mean, look at it. And I'm a sucker for top-loaded volumes. And I love how it works with single-ended, even though it doesn't have an output for it. Sicario Desert Music is playing currently. I need you all to shut up for like 5 minutes and 8 seconds. Rest in peace, Johan Johansson. What a maniac. I can't believe he passed away. If you don't know, the guy who did Sicario's music and The Arrival, I believe. He still got The Arrival, and he passed away. And he was the guy that Villeneuve used for all his music. I would have loved to have heard a 2049 soundtrack by him. Marantz, Super Audio CD Temo. Track 5. Okay. We're backing that up. We're switching to this side. That sounds really fucking good. This sounds sweeter. Sweet, I don't know, that's the word, alright? There's no way to calculate sweetness. I'm sure you can measure it. I'm sure if you put like a specific length test tone of like 6 kilohertz, beep, and when it shuts off perfectly in a DAC, and then you measure what's happening to the analog output, I'm sure you could figure out how long the decay factor has become because the tubes are handling it, not transistors. There's some specific thing that is making this sound like it does. Like all the audio is being slightly stretched and made softer and fluffier. I don't know, all right? I just did that review a half hour ago, 40 minutes ago, actually. And I sat here and I listened to it, and I loved it. It sounds great. It sounds as good as this. But then I put everything on this fucking thing, this block of wood, and I go, oh, that's what's possible. And that's the end of this review. Links to this in the description. Links to the Dragon in the description. Links to the topping in the description. Links to the audio valve in the description. The fucking Neumanns, the Sendies. These on this. These. The 600s, and you know what? I had them here for the whole time. I'm going to plug them in, even if for a split second. Because I love my Sandaras. Love them. And if you're going to do planar... Actually, have I hooked these up yet? I had them on that. I had them on portable. I don't want to get banned from YouTube. I don't know you could hear it. Maximum volume. Maximum volume. So it's not super powerful, but that makes the go. That is making the go. If I have to give it a negative, which I obviously have to give it a negative, on certain hard drive headphones, I am maxing it out. Now, these are 150 ohms. These are not that easy, but since it's dynamic, a little more pushing. These, 3 o'clock, I had to leave it there. Yeah. That's a Man of Steel Tornado, by the way, the Man of Steel soundtrack. I'm done talking about this now. You won't know until you try it. And no one's got these. You've got to find someone in your group. If you've broken off into a little audiophile groups, you got to know somebody who wants a tube amp, and you got to convince him to get this so that you can try it. Say, hey, did you hear about that one Zeos got? Oh, yeah, he loves it. He loves it with planars. He loves it with planars. Why don't you try the TOR? Try the TOR. And I'm advising you to try the TOR. If you have the money for the Inspire, you want it signed by the creator, you want to, if it breaks, if that breaks, you can get that fixed. If this breaks, it's got a 14-day money-back guarantee right there, warranty for 3 years, so I'm not going to send this back to the Ukraine. It's wood. It fell down. I could fix fell down wood. If something else goes wrong, 3-year warranty, 14-day money-back guarantee. You just don't like the way it sounds. It just doesn't suit you. Send it back. That's something you're not going to find in a lot of fucking tube amps. And he has it for all, especially ones from the fucking Ukraine. That's got to cost him a fortune. You know why he could do that? Because he knows you're not going to send it back. Anyway, thank you for stopping by. We'll link to that wallpaper. $2 patrons and higher get all the wallpapers ever used. $5 patrons and higher get into the yard sale, where I would normally sell something that this is replacing. I don't know if this is replacing the Roger, because I still love the Roger. But it's certainly, there's other things that will be for sale. Couple headphones over there, HE5SEs and stuff. So 1st to the 10th of every month, I sell off equipment that has been loaned to me, sent to me, or I've bought. And then you get to see all these reviews about a week early. The $10 Patreon tier, that has all the crazy people in it. The people who are going to see this review early, because I'm going to send it to them manually. And then there's going to be big fights about tubes and oh my god, and then they ask me questions and get behind the scenes and get to choose things and cat videos and stuff like that. So if you're interested in any of that, check out my Patreon. There's a bunch. Every post gets unlocked after a certain amount of time because I don't want to keep anything hidden. So you can see what's going on. So check that out. Check out the wallpapers. Check out Hi-Fi Guides. Hi-Fi Guides will have a post for this. Zeos, future Zeos, I know you hate doing this, but make a post for the TOR balance amp. I wish it had a cool name. Like there's the Roger and the Nick or something, and then this should be like the Samuel L. Jackson. Could he do that? Is he allowed to call this the Samuel L. Jackson motherfucker? Because you could just call it the motherfucker. I mean, there you go. That's it. I'm done. I'll see you all tomorrow for something not a tube amp, I think. Shit, I got another tube amp.